I think I fixed it. Hi. This is a trumpet. That's a drum. Come on, man. This is a trumpet. Why do we not have trumpets? What am I smoking, man? This is a trumpet. Oh my goodness. This is a pedal. Oh, the pedal's friggin' inverted. This is with a pedal. Oh, hallelujah. Things work now. This is a trumpet. This is a trumpet with a mute. Here it is with a Harmon Mute. It sounds pretty freaking good. So we've got a few flavors here. There's a whole bunch of types of mutes. I actually didn't know so many subtle variations existed. So here's some bucket mutes on the trumpet. And this is just the Spitfire Studio Brass legato trumpet. And we could pick something else. The trumpet just happens to have a huge selection to work with. But they've been sampled for trombone, so we'll look at trombone here in a second and some others. And there's also some strange stuff, but this is Sordina. Sordina is a mute emulating plugin, but it can also do other strange things like emulate saxophone things. This some really strange stuff in here. And then there's also some stuff for strings and going after different string effects. And these are more meant to be like color effects, where the mutes are really aimed at trying to sound just like the mute would. Because the violin, some of the effects are like playing it with the wood of the bow, for example. I don't play a stringed instrument, so I'm not as familiar with all the like articulations or styles of playing it, because there's a ton of them. But let's take a look here at some of these trumpet things first. So we took a look here at like, here's a bucket mute. We'll take a look at another one. Here is a cup mute. Let's look for another. Here's one more. So a huge way to quickly expand libraries you already own and have paid a lot of money for. And all of a sudden, all these mutes just really open up the availability. There's a Harmon Mute. Now this one does have the wah effect. Look at another one here. Yep. Miscellaneous. Some strange stuff in here. I don't play a brass instrument either, so some of these things I don't recognize. Like plunger, for example. But it's kind of cool. I can come in here and try them out. More mute flavors, practice mutes, straight mutes. And there are other instruments. Let's go for a trombone bucket mute. Oh, and it's very soft. Let's bring this on up. Get on up there. What comes to mind with these things too is like tossing like a really aggressive compressor after would really brighten up these horns so much, like an OTT or something, making them great for like EDM. Because just listening to how bright and resonancy that is versus just not having this on. Yeah, I normally have to follow it up with like a multi-band compressor or something, where with this kind of adds all that grit. And then if we wanted to grab an OTT real quick. Of course, we leave the realm of realism, and now we're fighting with like noise floors and things that are being pulled up unfairly. And that's inherent to the library, not Sordina. Options though, stuff that comes to mind. Here is some practice mutes. Straight mute. A Harmon Mute. So that's the plugin. That's Sordina. Now there are some other things in here that I alluded to earlier. Here are some strings. There are different string articulations in here that refer to different ways to play the stringed instrument. Let me just play through some of these for you. Now, some of these, like Flautando, if I recall, I always have to look these up because I don't always remember what it is. But I believe this is the one that's supposed to be, I can't remember if it's plucked. No, it's a longer sort of sustained one. So let's take a look at this on a legato. And you hear like that resonancy part of the string. That is the Flautando sound. And David's also said that these sorts of effects are supposed to just give you the general feeling of the effect, because there parts of these effects are very hard to emulate because they rely on sort of additional noises that come from the instrument when you perform this effect. And there's only so much you can actually model without actually like adding in extra sounds, and that's something that this is not meant to do. So you get the vibe of the effect. So that's Flautando. We can see there's actually one right here on the long Flautando. I'm also not sure if I'm saying that right at all, but here is what it sounds like. And then we'll go back to this one. If we grab Albion 5, this honestly has more of a vibe of Albion 5 to me. You can hear it more in this one. And then they've got ones called like Frozen. I'm sure they told them to bow it some weird way. So a lot of these kinds of textures. And then if we listen to sort of this with that. That's kind of the vibes you can get out of this. Now, if you were to take this and then toss in some verb after and, you know, sort of massage it into place, you get these really nice textures that wouldn't otherwise be there. Sul Tasto. So Sul Tasto has to do with a position on the violin when you play it. Let's take a look at the orchestral. Almost had it. That's the string section. Very cool. And that's basically the plugin. There's a lot to dig through in terms of tonalities, but these are, it just opens up the world of mutes and some of these special techniques and textures, and you don't have to use it just on like what it's labeled as. You could easily go in and toss this on something like a clarinet, a flute, a synthesizer, a synth line. I view it a little bit as just a really crazy filter. So for example, here is a synth. Let's go ahead, let's put it on a default sound. Sounds like this. And now I have this really unique filter that I could go through. Let's try out like a mute or something on, let's go for bass trombone. Let's go for a Harmon Mute. And if we were to look at it after with a spectrogram, we'll grab Sordina. That is a really freaking wild filter shape. So if we were then to write in just like a really low note, like what we're doing right now, automate Sordina, maybe we do it something. Follow this up with a wave shaper. And we could take this Sordina over here. We could add another Sordina. We take this one, we pick, I don't know, just find something cool to stack through it, and we move this one. We will then move this mix knob around. Now we give it a bit of a phase difference at the get-go, real slight. Pitch down by an octave, detuned. Try changing the mute. This could get so distracting so quickly, but you could come in, let's toss on a few effects that'll give it a sense of space, because when it's separate like this, it just doesn't sound as cool as it's gonna. Yeah, it's cool. I wonder if the trumpet one will be more pronounced. I like that. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. Like, you could go down rabbit holes. Things can get crazy. These filters are really, really cool ways of doing. I mean, this definitely, I don't think was intended to do this, but that's where my mind goes when I see something like this. Is like, there's the obvious stuff, like if you're an orchestral writer, but if you're a sound designer, these are really strange filters that you normally just wouldn't have access to. They were born from an orchestral goal. They're not something a synthesizer is going to include. Like, who includes a mute simulator? So this is just a weird starting point. And if you stack a few of them, you get these really cool. They're almost comb filters because that's kind of what mutes are. They're just like really complex filters. So that's Sordina. You can go check it out on their website. It's right here. This is Sordina. They've got a bunch of like actual mutes and compared to Sordina, which is really cool. Great little explainer and some videos on it. So definitely worth checking out. Right now, it is listed at $102. And again, this is something that can take libraries you've already paid a ton of money for and just suddenly make them worth a lot more because now you've got mutes for all your brass instruments. If you have any questions about this, feel free to let me know. Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos, and have a blessed day.